Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next YouTube video, and this is going to be my next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Nick episode review. And today I'm going to be reviewing 119, Baxter's Revenge, so episode 19 of season 1 of the show. And I'll start off with my general thoughts, and overall I think this was a good episode. It wasn't amazing because I had some problems with it. But overall it was pretty solid and did some very interesting things overall. I'll begin with my negatives, and I only have two really. The first one is just like what I said in my last review, I believe, that they set up the whole thing at the end of, not the last episode, but the previous one I think, about April being important to the Krang's plan. And they left that as a cliffhanger at the end of that episode. I said last time that I was a bit annoyed that they didn't touch on it in Cockroach Terminator at all. And they did the same thing again here, in a way. They didn't touch on it again. And it's just the kind of problem I have with the way that this series is sort of continuing its plot. And overall, like, this episode as an individual episode worked. But because it came after that cliffhanger, and that cliffhanger has yet to be mentioned or answered, I think it is a bit of a flaw with the show that it hasn't actually mentioned that since the cliffhanger. Like, they're not even like saying that, like, oh, we haven't found anything else out. They're just staying away from it. So it is a bit of an issue I have. The second thing I want to say is that it's just a kind of thing, this suspension of disbelief, I suppose, with the show. You know, it's a show about mutant turtles, mutants, and all that sort of stuff. But I think it almost took it to this whole other level where it was just so not believable with Baxter's whole underground kind of funhouse thing that this whole episode kind of revolved around. That within like a day or a few days he managed to have this whole thing built completely. That was just like, whoa, really? Unless he had it like made already or something like that. But that makes no sense because, you know, he really only has the material since he was with the Shredder and stuff like that. That was just a minor thing, but it was definitely something I noticed throughout the episode. I'm just like, really? He managed to do this and all in about a day with no one else's help, apparently? But anyway. The rest of the episode I thought was really good because obviously the whole episode really revolved around the team-up of the Turtles with the Fishface and Dogface, and they had to team up obviously to help each other not die in this funhouse kind of thing built by Baxter that was trying to kill them, because he was feeling abused by Fishface and Dogface. Wow, I'm finding it really hard to say those two as a duo, but anyway, and I like this as a team up episode in that. This is what I've kind of been missing from the villains of this show, getting to really know them outside of the fact that they're villains. And like I've said a kind of complaint in the past about that they maybe didn't really do that much with the two when they were humans, and it kind of left me feeling a bit odd when they just got mutated and nothing really happened with them. So the fact that they're actually kind of going down the road of exploring them through this team up with the Turtles. We got some of the backstory and like Zever in this one, Baxter as well. It was really good that they did that, because it made the Turtles see these guys as more than just these villains that they had to fight all the time, and also it made the villains see the Turtles as more than just their enemies, that the Turtles were the ones like most willing to kind of put aside their differences and kind of work together. They were still suspicious, but, you know, it was the way that the Turtles aren't going to attack them, but there's always the risk that the villains will attack the Turtles. So the whole dynamic that went throughout the episode of the team-up was really cool. And especially the rivalry between Zever and Raph, because definitely has the kind of two knife-wielding kind of guys, at least when Zever was a human, and we get the sense that he's probably going to be the same now. There's definitely those two kind of going against each other throughout this episode, and then they were forced to work together in that, you know, they may be villains, but they kind of want to beat each other, but they don't want each other to just kind of like get killed, not by them. It's this weird kind of thing that, like, Raph didn't want to see Zever get killed by falling into like a turbine, and the same with like Zever didn't want the same to happen to Raph. So it was this really cool thing throughout the episode. And the same with the others, like you know, Dogpound nearly got like cut in half by a laser, and then like they were all trying to like save each other because the main thing was they both didn't want to lose to Baxter Stockman, so like they both had to team up to basically get through his funhouse, beat him, and it was just really nicely done. I thought because it sets up this whole dynamic at the end of the episode that they can kind of trust each other a bit. Like if they need to team up, they can kind of trust each other. But you know, in just a one-on-one fight, they're obviously going to be enemies again. And I really did enjoy that because again, it's going to be one of the things where when they meet again, there's probably going to be some extra amount of respect between the turtles and Zevver, Dogpan, and Fishface, and that's cool. Um, I suppose I'll talk a bit about Baxter Stockman himself now. You really do feel for him. This was probably the first time in an episode that I've really kind of felt for Baxter Stockman a bit. Because he was just getting abused by Fishface and Dogpound at the start of this episode. You know, he's the one who made like those legs for Zevver so he can even move at all. And he just gets like abused completely by the two of them. And you kind of understand why he kind of turned on the two of them. And even stuff like him basically taking the blame when Shredder kind of asks what went wrong for them, when really it was their fault, kind of in a way. And it was so you really felt for him when he did that. But then the whole thing throughout the episode, when he really overused the whole he has these weapons of doom joke, and then they all caught onto it, and he was just like, oh, why am I saying doom so much? But then he found out like, oh, he's really the villain guy. He's on no one's side. He just wants to get rid of both people, and that was the whole thing. He wanted to put them into this situation together, so they'd turn on each other and they'd kind of kill each other quickly, and then he'd end up being the last one left and like responsible for the turtles being out of the picture as well as Fishface Dogman. And then his whole anger when they start to work together, and he just gets more and more angry. The stuff keeps happening. It was well done again. The episode did character stuff really well. It just the placement of the episode just felt a bit odd because they haven't, in terms of storytelling across the whole season, they're just kind of struggling to keep the thing going. That's my main kind of complaint about the episode. It's as an episode itself, this one was good because they're setting up stuff like Shredder and the Turtles are both kind of interested in what the Krang are doing. So that's definitely going to be something coming into the finale, that all these kind of three groups are coming together into something. While the cliffhanger kind of stays open, I just wish they'd mention that cliffhanger a bit more, because April obviously is going to be important. And speaking of April, she had some really nice moments in this episode. Obviously, she's become reasonably good at hand-to-hand combat, as we saw with her little sparring session with Splinter, which is nice to see that she's developing that way. But now she feels that it's time for her to have a weapon, become I suppose a bit more helpful with regard to fights. And eventually Splinter decides that yes, it's time for a weapon. And then it's all about her trying to find the weapon that best suits her. And I thought it was pretty interesting that they didn't actually give her really any weapons that the Turtles use. Like, she wasn't given a bow staff, she wasn't given a sword, a sai, or nunchucks. She was given all these other weapons to make her different. And the whole episode, I was kind of expecting, because of the April toy having a bow staff, I was kind of expecting her to be eventually given a bow staff, and that to be a kind of moment of connection between herself and Donatello, that they both use the same weapons, or at least used for humor in their relationship, something like that. But no, they went down the road of her messing up with a lot of the weapons, and eventually knocking over the framed picture of Splinter and his family, which led to this extra moment of connection between himself and April, in that because he basically never really seen his daughter since the accident or whatever happened. Shredder killed or took his family. He's beginning to kind of get that daughter connection almost with April, and that was a pretty emotional moment in the episode, I felt, and it was really well done actually, in that you really felt that the two had this kind of connection, that she actually kind of considers Splinter a bit of a father figure, And then there was obviously the emotion of the whole family thing. April finding out for, I think it was the first time that she kind of found out about this. Like she asked, "Who is this?" And he said it was me. And then that led to the reveal of he had this weapon, this kind of fan that's also a blade, and that he was going to give to his daughter when she was old enough. And then he gives that to April as her weapon, and she's finding this one easy to use. And that's pretty cool that she has her own unique weapon, and it is a fan, you know. That's pretty cool, like Yoshi Warrior Avatar sort of stuff. Fans are pretty cool. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes with April, and that is she going to become really good with this fan and stuff like that. Is she going to eventually join the Turtles as like the fifth member and help them out fighting? Because obviously there's the big kind of thing going through the series that Karai and April were around the same age. Maybe Karai is Splinter's daughter. Maybe they're going to fight. Maybe there's going to be a connection over that fan or something like that. Splinter's going to find out. I'm very interested to see what they do with April going forward, and in many ways she is the most interesting character in the show because of that. In that they've set up all this interesting stuff with her. They've just yet to give her the screen time really to go through with it all. But other than that, there's not a whole lot else to talk about in the episode. The team up fight at the end to try to defeat Baxter was really cool. Zevra and obviously Raph doing the finishing blow and stuff like that. Other than that, you know, the Turtles, as usual, were great. The brotherly relationship done really nicely throughout the whole episode. It was just really cool. So, again, to sum up, you know, good episode, just... I wish this cliffhanger they've set up, I'd wish they'd mention something about it. To just keep it going, that this is part of the story and that sort of thing. But, yeah, I liked it. So, thank you for watching.